Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll just wait for a few more minutes as people start to stream in, all right? I know we have some people who are also joining us on Facebook today. So hi and good evening. Once again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we go around the block live with the BLOCK71 Indonesia team. My name is Ning. I'm a program manager at PIER71. Now, BLOCK71 is an initiative by NUS Enterprise in collaborative and strategic partnerships with established corporates and government agencies. It is a technology-focused ecosystem builder and global connector, which catalyzes and aggregates the startup community. And the program is run in many locations, which our speakers here today will share in a bit. So let me introduce who we have, the two gentlemen we have here today with us. We have Hussein, who is the program head for BLOCK71 Indonesia, and Sazali, the program director for BLOCK71 Southeast Asia. And before we travel to Indonesia virtually, I'd like to share with you that you can upload your questions using the chat function found at the bottom of your screen. If you're unable to finish all the questions, we will get back to you personally after the event. All right, now over to you guys to bring us to around the blocks via BLOCK71.
Hi everyone. Hey, Hussein here. Thanks again, Ning, for your very kind introduction. Like I said, I have with me Sazali as well, who's actually the program director for BLOCK71 Southeast Asia. So without further ado, maybe I can just go over to our slides and I'll share with you more about what we are and what we do. Okay, so, oh my. Yeah, while the slides are loading. So basically, BLOCK71 actually started 9 years ago back in Ayer Rajah. Back then, it was a flatted factory area that was quite old. And basically, NUS came into the picture and we decided to, build that up into one of the largest and one of the hottest startup ecosystem in South Asia, if not the entire world. Right now, as Ning had previously mentioned, we are in quite a large number of cities, 8 locations actually, 7 cities all around the globe. So like what Ning mentioned as well, we are first and foremost an ecosystem builder. So what we do, we connect to the startup ecosystem, we connect to the VC ecosystem, the corporates, and we pull all of that together to help all our incubators, get traction, and also to help them in any way possible throughout their startup journey. So the services, well, I use the term quite loosely, that we provide to all our incubators or all our BLOCK71 startup members per se, include things like access to the NUS technology and IP, talent, grants and funding, if any, granting them access to international markets, which is something that I'll cover later, the collaborative space or their workspace, and also bridging them together via a global community. So over on the right-hand side over here, you can see the spaces that we're in. So we started in Singapore back in 2011. And then 4 years later, we started up BLOCK71 San Francisco together with, in partnership with Singtel Innovate. And then 2 years later, we started our next Southeast Asian area, which is Jakarta. And at the same time, we also launched Suzhou, which is, of course, in China, shortly after that. A year later, we then opened up Bandung and Jogja. And last year, we opened up the second BLOCK71 in Suzhou. And finally, which is something very, very exciting, next week, we're actually launching our Block71 Saigon branch. So do stay tuned for that. So, so I'll just go through quickly about what we do in Block71 Indonesia. But basically, in a nutshell, all the Block71 locations function very similarly. We are very entrenched in the local ecosystem, and the global connector portion comes in the form of getting you guys connected to all the different Block71 nodes at any given point in time. So again, specifically for Block71 Indonesia, that was built together in partnership with Salim Group. Salim Group is actually one of the largest conglomerates in Indonesia. And they have an incubation arm called Innovation Factory. And basically, we have tied up together with Innovation Factory to create Block71 Indonesia. So skipping through this. Yeah, so basically this is where we are right now, over 30,000 members, community members. The members that have benefited directly from us and in the form of startups, there have been over 2.5 grand. 20 over startups have received investments over the last 3 years or so. And through our network, we've successfully created hundreds of jobs, hosted hundreds of events over the last 3 years, just in Indonesia alone. And of course, the other regions will testify to that as well. Back to what I mentioned about being having access to different Block71 nodes. As a Block71 member, regardless of where you are, you do have access to all these events, especially in these times, in this COVID period, where most of the events are actually held virtually. So we'll start with Block71 Jakarta. Back in 2017, when we first started, we saw the boom of the likes of Gojek 4 or 5 years ago. That's when investment money, especially from SoftBank, started pouring in, and we saw Indonesia flourishing. So there was a good time for us to enter Jakarta to tap into the thriving tech community and talent. So location-wise, it was really perfect and ideal, and there was a lot of innovation that was happening in that period. And we did understand, and we did see the need to create a community and build that the ecosystem under the Block71 brand. All the ingredients that we saw when we first created Block71 in Singapore were present at that moment. So yeah, hence we launched Block71 Jakarta. About a year later, we noticed similar patterns in both Block71 Bandung and in Jakarta, basically. Although these two locations have their own niches in terms of the community itself, the community was bustling enough for us to invest in setting up 2 other locations in Indonesia. So for those guys who are interested in going into Indonesia, rest assured you will be covered in terms of support from as many angles as we can provide via these 3 locations. So in Yogyakarta, uniquely, it's one of the largest in Indonesia. In Indonesia, it houses one of the most universities. Lots of academics come from there, and it's rolling with startups that are in agri-tech, IoT, and a lot of social enterprises. So there is a very good balance between the 3 cities. Each has their own flavor. So again, Block71 Indonesia having the 4th largest population in the world, I think it's a very good market as well for anyone looking to expand out of Singapore. So previously we mentioned being a member of Block71, you get access to technology, and when we say that we have programs that allow you to tap into the research that's happened and that are happening or has happened in the NUS university itself through different platforms. We run events like fairs in Singapore. Unfortunately for this year, due to COVID-19, it's still in the works. We're not sure. I don't think it's happening this year, but definitely something's going to happen next year. Switch, which will happen, which is looking to happen, I think in December, if I'm not wrong. It's also another flagship NUS event. And of course, you do have your corporate innovation programs that we've been running with for the likes of SIA, L'Oreal, so on and so forth. And these programs are made available to all the Block71 members as well. So talent and training, this is a topic that is very highly sought after, especially for the guys that are looking to expand out of Singapore. So apart from just providing in-house guidance through clinics, founder circles, which is basically a network of founders coming together and to help one another, tide through or get through the setup of the companies. We do also have talent coming from NUS itself, the NUS overseas colleges providing interns for those who require. We also do tie-ups with local companies. Like for example, in Indonesia, we tie up with Wonder Labs that's also providing us or providing the startups with manpower wherever needed in whatever field. Glints, also another notable startup from Singapore, is also in Indonesia, and they are also providing support for the startups that are over there. So access to new markets. So one of the main reasons why we are expanding into Ho Chi Minh City, or rather Saigon, and then in future as well Nagoya. The whole idea behind the hubs, or rather the nodes of Block71 all across the world, is to basically provide you with the access that you need as a emerging startup in this region, regardless of where you are. With the Block71 network, we kind of grant you that green lane, I would say, to get into that country as easily as possible through our various programs, be it through an immersion program connecting you with customers or corporates that might be in that country, or even with a simple setting up of your offices over there. All these kind of services are made readily available to you, and there are teams of on the ground already, operational team basically, helping you with all those needs. So as I mentioned, business immersion is one of the highly sought after services. We've worked together with the likes of ESG, IMDA, Jetro, KISET, to provide this market validation or immersion programs. We've also done business matching for startups across borders. So one fine example is a tech showcase that has happened on multiple occasions last year in partnership with ESG, or with IMDA as well, where we brought over a selected curated number of startups from Singapore pertaining to a particular team, and we got them to meet corporates from Indonesia directly through a business networking session. So for last but not least, one of the defining factors of Block71, as most Singaporeans do know, we do have a collaborative space. So as part of the package, not just having access to the different markets, access to talent and all that stuff, you do also have your own space, which is dedicated and structured properly for startups of almost all ages. So it ranges from hot desks to dedicated desks, and even some private rooms for larger startups. We do have, in Indonesia, there are much larger offices as well. Unfortunately, in Singapore, I don't think we have those. But in Indonesia, we do have larger rooms that are dedicated for, startups of, I think, up to 40 packs, perhaps around there. Yeah. And as part of the collaborative spaces, right? We don't just want to be another WeWork or JustGo in the region. We want to provide some, vibrancy comes not just in the form of people who are there, but also the things that happen. So regularly we have events like Kopi chats, linking up communities, fireside chats between anyone and everyone on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. And so through these events, right, the community managers and the team actually regularly engage the incubatees or the members to make sure that they are well taken care of. And also it serves as an avenue or an outlet for them to voice out if they are facing any challenges. Previously, like I mentioned, we do organize founder circles, and these are just some examples of the available events that happen within Block71, and uniquely Block71 as well. So early on, I mentioned for companies that are expanding and out of Singapore, one of the things that they've mentioned is getting access to customers, and this is an example of a signature event that took place last year in March. Basically, it was a tech showcase day where we brought startups from Singapore over to Indonesia to meet with Indonesian corporates. So what happened? We curated 10 startups in Singapore with solutions from fleet management, IoT, warehouse, and logistics management, and those likes. And we brought them to meet 16 Indonesian corporates through a series of one-on-one meetings. And we organized it in such a way that every Singapore company had an average of 3 leads coming out of that event. So that event, it happened only over a range of a day, actually. Of course, barring some preparation work that happened in Singapore. So prior to flying over to Indonesia, we got them, we brought them in, we explained to them what's needed in the event itself, how should you prepare and how should you approach the Indonesian corporates, and give them pointers how they can secure those leads or deals.
Yeah, and that's especially useful, right, for our program, because I can certainly vouch that PIER71's alumni benefited from this tech showcase. You can see that it's highly relevant to some of our startups. And likewise, this year, I know that tech showcase is happening, this week, next week?
It's happening on Thursday, actually, this coming Thursday.
And so I think you see some of our PIER71 startups in the current cohort and alumni in action again, right?
Yeah, actually quite a fair few have already signed up for the event and they've confirmed their attendance. So we definitely will be seeing them. And they are also very, very excited to meet the new lineup of Indonesian corporates as well. Thank you again, Ning.
Yeah, no problem. Just want to do a shout out.
Thank you. Yeah, so we saw the success of the first one and we were eager to try it again. So we did it again later that year around the theme of smart cities. This time we expanded the pool of Singaporean companies and of course expanded the pool of Indonesian corporates, right? And naturally we had more meetings and more leads generated from the event. And the learnings that we brought from last year, we carried on forward. But this year, due to the challenges faced by the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to restructure. We couldn't bring we couldn't bring the startups to meet the corporates face to face. So instead, we made it. We ran a virtual one to see how would the startups in Singapore respond to to such a service. And it was overwhelming, even though we kept it to a small size because we weren't sure about how it was going to proceed. Sorry about this. We weren't sure about how it was going to proceed, but the support, the response was overwhelming, and even from the Indonesian corporate side, and everyone was embracing Zoom meetings and all that. So even with a small pool, we still managed to generate at least 3 to 4 leads for startups in Singapore.
Maybe since the tech showcase happening this Thursday, I'm just going to ask on behalf of the PIER71 startups that made it into this year's run. So what, from your learning in a July 2020 run, right? How do you think our startups can prepare themselves better for this round's networking and business matching?
So for the guys that to help them prepare better, right? So for the guys that have already signed up for for the upcoming one, we've already sent you guys a care package, basically. I wouldn't say care package, but basically a brief rundown of the companies or the corporates that will be there, all 20 of them, and the kind of solutions that they are looking into, right? And also a brief write-up of what they are and what they do. So this is a chance for them to actually look through that care package. They also already have access to the platform, the Jubilee platform, basically, where they can already set up meetings. And we, basically, we want to tie down these corporates to meet with the companies, the Singapore companies as soon as possible. So previously, everything was done on the day itself. Now we have at least a week's period to prepare and in advance to get them ready for the meetings. There are more startups. There are more startups, and there are also more companies that will be there at the event on Thursday. So this week of prep is really what's needed for them to make full use of the event. Not just that, unlike the previous time, what we're doing is also we are extending the We're making the platform available for the startups, even, not just on one day, but we're extending it for another week so that they can continue meeting the corporates that they did not get the chance to on the day itself. So we've heard the concerns from the previous Tech Showcase Day participants, both on the corporates and the Singapore companies end. And one of them was one of the recurring themes was that they couldn't find the time due to the constraints on the day itself to meet everyone. So they requested for additional time. And this time we made sure to address that.
Right. Okay. So it's prep work on the ground.
Yeah, very much homework that they have to do.
So maybe
to make sure that
if I can add, Hussein, sorry, yeah. So I think, Ning, for the audience here, the way we do the Tech Showcase Day, as Hussein mentioned, we curate both sides, right? The corporates as well as the startups. We try to make it different, not just a generic event that any corporate can attend or any startup can attend. And that's why we work around a theme. And based on that theme, we get the corporates to our interaction with them, and we could do it face-to-face last time. But this year we do it through a form where they indicate a particular solution set within the theme that we decide on. And then that's where we start looking for and reach out for the potential startups in Singapore. Those who make it, very thankful for your support. But I also must say that some people who applied, we do ask for clarification in terms of what the specific solution that you have. If I cannot see from their website or from the standard pitch, that will be interesting for the corporates that are participating in this particular one, right? Some have responded and we still entertain because of the new solution that they have. Some, I must say, we have to turn it down this time around because we want to make sure there's a good match, right? So we hope in this way the corporates will attend with clear expectation that there's a high chance they could find something interesting, and vice versa for the Singapore companies as well. So to address your question for the Singapore companies that's participating this time around, I think we've already highlighted to you. Focus on the solution that will interest the Indonesian corporate based on their needs. Use that to excite them to meet up with you one-on-one. But of course, once you meet up one-on-one, feel free to talk about your other solutions, which might also be interesting to them. So that's the general theme of this Tech Showcase Day.
Was that how our alumni and winner from 2018 cohort Skydive get into the Indonesian market? They also went in through BLOCK71, right? I think they were also at a Tech Showcase event.
Yes. So quite a number who attended the March 2019 one, as well as the one in October. In fact, happy to announce that, for example, one of the alumni through these events managed to get some leads and find a partner and even open an entity in Indonesia, right? I know because he used BLOCK71 Jakarta as the platform for him to launch his new PT company or the local entity in Indonesia.
I think that's precisely why we are organizing a session here today. It's there's a lot of values in partnering with BLOCK71, from business matching events like the Tech Showcase, all the way to soft landing programs and the kind of a network and help and support and resources available on the ground. I think that's really important because many of our startups are not young, and some of them are ready to look for market expansion, and that's where if Indonesia and many more markets that are under the BLOCK71 flag is of interest, then definitely we have help that's already available and easily available.
For sure.
Sorry to have cut you.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Hijack. So if there's something else that you want to bring forward.
No. That's I think Sazali covered what I wanted to say very well as well. Thank you so much for that, and also thank you so much for the question, because I think it's not possible for me to cover everything through this presentation itself. So apart from Tech Showcase Day, we also ran an immersion program called the Market Validation Program, where we brought startups from Singapore into Indonesia, and then to help them validate the idea they brought the idea in Singapore, to bring it over to Indonesia, and then if they need to via our network, they can continue to grow their business. Yeah. So 18 companies from Singapore signed up last year. From an open call, we saw almost what 6x that number. Yeah. So again, these programs, right, are highly curated to make sure that it's very effective for the participating companies. Just to add on to what Sally mentioned, if for example, when you let's say for Tech Showcase Day, right, unfortunately your solution was not selected to be a part of the participating startups, we definitely will run more editions in the future. And one of the successful companies, Envision, I think they couldn't make it for the previous one. They're coming back for this upcoming one. So just because you signed up for one, but you couldn't make it there, we still keep you in our in our database, in our contact list, and we won't forget you, and we continue to engage you guys even moving forward. Yeah. So yeah, that brings me to the end of Indonesia. Maybe I'll give my time over to to Sally to share with us about the new upcoming BLOCK71 Saigon. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Hussein. So yeah, just quickly, BLOCK71 Saigon is something new. It's actually located in Ho Chi Minh City, in the south of Vietnam. Like Indonesia, our model is also to partner with a local entity. In this case, is Baker Max, because I think for us, it's very clear we want to be plugged into the local ecosystem, and what better way than to work with a partner who's in country, who's also quite connected to the network. So a bit about Baker Max. So Baker Max is like an industrial park and township developer in Vietnam. They are also one of the guys who were behind Vietnam-Singapore Industrial Park when they were still part of a government entity, but they're now privately owned. So they have many industrial parks all over Vietnam. And so as a business, they also have their own university, hospitals, and industrial park areas, as I mentioned, right? So this partnership is strategic because I think Baker Max is one organization that's looking at new ways to be innovative in their business. And I think NUS enterprise with a network of startups will be very interesting for them. And Baker Max is looking for us as well as our startup or tech community because of their network of corporates in their various industrial parks, right? As you know, Vietnam is fast becoming like the factory of the world, right? In addition to China. And Vietnam is also has a very young population, very much growing middle class. And in terms of digital economy, they are easily the third largest after Singapore and Indonesia, right? And there's a lot of good technical talent as well. So I think we are there, like what we did in Indonesia, but we plan to do in Vietnam is start building the local ecosystem and be the business connector, right? So that startups or tech companies from Singapore or even from Indonesia or from all our BLOCK71 network, if they want to have access to Vietnam, BLOCK71 will help provide that. So we are actually doing a beta launch next week, our soft launch, right? The plan is for us to do the actual official launch once the borders are open and I can fly there and our management and the VIPs can fly there. By the way, I'm based in Singapore, so if any of you in Singapore want to catch up, I'm happy to catch up. But I already have a team in Vietnam. We are busily preparing it right now, and we're doing the soft launch. After this, I will just type in the registration site. So I invite you to register. Even though we're just starting, but we already connected with a few people in the community. We have events which we involve the local university, which are interesting for companies or startups that are looking for talent. We have events covering corporates who are into open innovation. This, like I say, is a good potential companies that you can start exploring as you venture into the Vietnamese market. And we also connected with other incubators in Vietnam, as well as some of the interesting startups will be there as well. So do sign up for and register for the event, and also do follow us on our social media, right? For Vietnam as well as Indonesia, be it Facebook and Instagram. By the way, just a side note, if you want to, in Indonesia, the happening social media is Instagram. So you want to follow what's happening in BLOCK71 Indonesia, just follow our Instagram. is some of the events anybody can register. And of course, you're already part of the Block71 network, you can register as well. And for Vietnam, it's not Instagram, it's Facebook.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. In Indonesia, Facebook is for the more older people like me, but the younger ones is Instagram. But apparently in Vietnam, Facebook is the one. Instagram is still not so big yet. So do follow us, and I do recommend you to sign up for our beta launch next week, so you get to know more about the community there.
You know what, Sazali, at the end of this, right, I'm going to send everyone who registered for the sharing session this afternoon how to get connected with Block71 and the registration for the launch, the Block71 Saigon launch.
Yeah, I just shared it in our chat group, but so those who are interested can look at it now, but I'm sure Ning will send it out again as well. Yeah.
Well, someone asked if there are plans for Block71 offices in KL, Bangkok, or Manila.
That is a question for you.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I think that's fine. That's fine. So as Ning introduced me earlier, I take care of Southeast Asia for Block71 outside Singapore. So we have a team that runs Singapore. So we've done Indonesia, we've done Vietnam. Of course, I don't have a very big team, but what's up on the horizon for us next will be Thailand, right? Things a bit slowed down because of the COVID situation, so we could not travel. But we hope to continue to pick that up again on building Thailand, looking for a partner and setting up Block71.
Well, we're actually very fast already, as in I remember that Nagoya was only launched like very, very recently. And Bandung and Jogja were like launched last year. And now
2 years ago.
Now 2 years ago already.
2 years ago, yeah.
All right, then now we have Saigon and Thailand coming up. Right, great. So I hope that answers your questions. Yeah, we will have one in Thailand. I'm not sure whether it's going to be in Bangkok, but yeah, stay tuned.
Likely is Bangkok first, right? Like how we do it in Indonesia, but whether there are more locations to be discussed.
Yeah.
KL, I guess KL is too close to Singapore, I think. So happy to collaborate with whoever is inside there. We also in talks with them. Manila not in the plans at the moment, but I think not Block71, but NUS enterprise as a whole, we have some partnership with some of the universities over there. Yeah.
Right. Someone's asking, well, beyond from ground up AI, he's actually from this year's cohort, how to get connected for the ones in China and Japan. Well, they are handled by a different team, but that's not a problem as well. We can get you connected. So I can do that offline, Leon.
Yeah. So again, our social media is very buzzing. So do sign up for the social media for all these locations as well. But Leon, as what we typically do is that when we have programs like the one we're doing this week, we usually reach out to committee managers like Ning, who takes care of PIER71, current incubators as well as past alumni, and see and invite them to participate. So do look out for them.
The best way is actually to sign up for the newsletters.
Yeah.
I feel it's like you always get an updated bites, the current news, what's happening, what's hottest, and what's upcoming.
Right.
Yeah, sign up newsletters, new hashtag. Thank you. Right.
Yeah, so I think, Sazali, you're mentioning something about Vietnam just now as well. But I think we've come to the end of the end of our presentation already. So maybe we can open up the floor for any questions that they have pertaining to any Block71 office. Not just, here is just Indonesia because it's where I'm taking care of. But besides that, because I'm also based in Singapore, so we're kind of agnostic. If you need anything, just feel free to ping at either one of us, and we'll correct you. We'll direct you to the right community managers or partners.
So if anyone else has any more questions, I think we still have time to take them.
Yeah, we do.
If not, maybe I'll just, I'm just curious, right? Sazali, you've done, well, you're involved in the Block71 in Indonesia and now in Vietnam, though Vietnam maybe not so long yet. is there a particular landscape difference between these two locations, and maybe comparing it to Singapore as well? With
Sure.
relevant to PIER71, maybe in terms of the kind of like the markets that, the areas that we're looking at.
Yeah. So I think that the unique thing about Southeast Asia, including Singapore, is that almost every country is a bit unique, right?
Yeah.
More so Singapore. I think Singapore is very different from the rest of the region. But maybe I speak about Indonesia. I think in terms of the digital economy, in terms of readiness for innovation, there are many years already and quite mature, especially more in Jakarta. And the reason why we are in 3 locations, interestingly, even though they are on the same big island called Java, each community has slightly different mix of startups and needs as well, right? So for example, Jakarta is more of the big city kind of startups like B2C, some B2B of course. Most of the big startups are in Jakarta. Whereas Bandung is more like gaming and creative industry in Bandung, right? Because of the nature of Bandung, it started out as a place where they do a lot of textiles. If you don't already know, a lot of our well-known brands last time was actually manufactured in Bandung before they moved to Vietnam and other locations, right? So there's a lot of creative people inside there as well. And there's also a university town, that's why we're there. Whereas Jogja, is culturally is different because it's quite close to the Kraton, which is the royal family. But Jogja also is a big hinterland of farmland. So we find a lot of agri-business and agri-tech kind of startups quite interesting over there as well, right? So even Indonesia is really quite varied. And of course, the way the business is done is slightly different as well. I would say there will be a lot of relationship. It's all about relationship and building and so on and so forth. To be frank, when COVID-19 happens, we were a bit, struggling a bit because a lot of Indonesians were more face-to-face people, right? But we converted all our events online, and there's still a lot of people going online. There were some challenges of sign-ups from corporates, right? In some of our signature events. That's when we decided let's do a tech showcase day online event, right? And because we couldn't really find a particular sector industry, so we hit what was hot, which is COVID-19 safe workplace solution. Interestingly, corporates sign up, and interestingly, by then, I think we did it in July. By then, people are now picking up more about and more open to having Zoom sessions. So that has changed a bit. So hopefully, I think going forward, that will then change the whole landscape. I'm sure like all business is still relationship, but maybe now the market is a bit more ready face to face, right? For Vietnam, like Ning says, we're quite relatively new. Vietnam is like, to me, it's similar to Indonesia maybe 4 years ago. There's a lot of startups, returning Vietnamese who studied overseas, coming back to form their own startups, right? So we see a lot of that. And the education system also, there's a lot of very good technical people.
Yeah.
Some of you in the audience might already know that there's a lot of companies, be it startups or SMEs, using development team out of Vietnam because technical skills, they are producing faster than compared to Indonesia, right? Some of the Indonesian startups also have team in Vietnam. I think the other plus side of Vietnam is that the way the country is governed, I think things are done in a faster way, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Indonesia is a very big country and so on. I think the latest incident with COVID-19, where they do a lockdown very quickly after the Tet holidays or the Chinese New Year, that is to address or arrest some of the issue of COVID-19 in Vietnam nation. So yeah, different landscape, but I think Vietnam will be the next big one coming up.
So that's why it's also important for the startups before actually relocating to get to know the place very well, inside out, culturally, how they do businesses and everything. So the immersion programs are a real, value adding one, because you get a taste of it before you actually set foot there and grow roots there, right? Naturally.
Yeah. Maybe I just add on, Ning. I know me and Hussein be talking startups a lot, right? But I guess, and you rightly put so, Ning, that PIER71, the companies, most of them are more mature than the early stage startup we have in NUS, right? Which I think is an advantage when you go into Indonesia or Vietnam, right? Unlike in Singapore, where maybe because it's Singapore startup, NUS, and some of the corporates are more open to discussing with some of these early stage on startup. But Indonesia, from experience, they would like to meet with tech companies or startups who already have some traction, already have some customers, which I think in general, most of the PIER71 cohort or alumni fall into that category.
Yeah.
So they're more open to that. So for you guys here in the audience, I think you already have one age over there.
Yeah. That's good to know. And Anil is asking, if a startup's already working with PIER71 or MP, I guess being part of PIER71 program, can they be members of BLOCK71? I don't think that BLOCK71 collects membership fees at the moment, right? We welcome, being community builders and all that, we welcome people to join us, because it's really the companies that help to increase the vibrancy and add on the vibrancy. So when you're looking at business expansion to Southeast Asia, Sazali here is the person to connect with. And so I guess, Sazali, how would they contact you?
Yeah, I can share I'm happy to share my email and so on later on, right?
So for those that are currently looking at expansion to Southeast Asia locations, you can drop us an email and then we can link you up directly as well.
I think just to add on,
yeah.
Just to add on to that, right? Apart from the email, do stay tuned, to the events that we hold. The Tech Showcase Day is a very good example of how you can get access. No, it's open to those within the PIER71 community already, actually. Yeah, so not because you are a part of PIER71, you would definitely be, one of the people that we would turn to invite you to this sort of event. So it'll give you even faster way to get into the markets that you are looking at as well. Yeah.
Perks of being in PIER71. Another new hashtag on. Right. So Anil, as a first step, if you want to get connected to BLOCK71, you can I guess subscribe to the newsletters, depending on what kind of I would say not really services, but what kind of help or support you're looking at. We have colleagues that can direct you to the right group of people. Be it in BLOCK71 Singapore or any other BLOCK71 locations. Yeah. So I think that's the last question we have. I don't see anything else. Nothing came through my WhatsApp as well. So I think that's it, and we're going to wrap up. So once again, thank you so much, Hussein and Sazali, for joining us today very quickly, and giving us a very good overview and extending to us the invitation to join you all at the beta launch for BLOCK71 Saigon. All the best. So we'll be drinking Vietnamese coffee next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us as well.
All right. Thank you for having us. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you. And guys, the next event that's coming up at PIER71 is this week. We're going to meet 3 very interesting gentlemen again. That's Chaipo, founder of Ships Focus, Michael from Rainmaking, as well as Benjamin, who is a portfolio manager at KSL Maritime Ventures. So if you have any questions at all to ask this gentleman about fundraising, specifically for maritime, please head over to the Pigeonhole. That's where we're collecting all the questions, because it's an Ask Me Anything question, which means that whatever questions you submit, these gentlemen are going to answer it for you live, and that's going to happen on 8th of October, 1 to 2 p.m. local time. I have to express it's local time as in Singapore time, because we do have companies who are joining us from other time zones. So sometimes I get questions like, is it French time or is it German time? No, sorry, but it's Singapore time. So once again, thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you this Thursday. Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.